Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to be doing a brake job, but not on the old Pioneer because those ones are still good after 2,000 plus miles. So today we're going to be doing a brake job on this, a 2015 Dodge Ram, or as they call them Rams now, 2500 6.4 liter. So I have a family member, took his truck to the dealership, gets all the work done at the dealership with the oil changes and whatnot, and they say you need brakes. He said, great, how much? He said $500 an axle. And that was just pad slapping it. That wasn't doing rotors. That was turning the rotors, but just pad slapping it. So he declined. He called me up and said, hey, can you help me out? So I'll put a disclaimer out there right now. I don't like working on other people's vehicles that are not families. And it's a liability issue. It's not that I don't trust people, but you gotta be careful out there to protect yourself. Family members, I don't mind helping out, and I'll help friends out. I'll go over to the houses, I'll have them bring their vehicles over here, I'll help them out, but I won't do all the work for them. So, the family member called me up, said, hey, can you look at my truck? So that's what we're gonna do today. Brakes are relatively straightforward. So I haven't gone and got the brake pads yet. We're gonna do the fronts. That's what the dealership said it needed. So the rears were fine, but we're still gonna check the rears just to make sure. Probably pull them apart, clean them, re-grease them. So other than the brakes, what else are we gonna do to it today? Well, I'll check the battery, the alternator. I know those are probably pretty good, but while we're here, we'll check it. We'll run it for codes. But pretty much this is all you need for brakes except for your brake pads. Down here I have my torque spec sheet, some brake clean. I do not use an impact when loosening lugs that are splined, so I will loosen those all by hand, and then I will take my light duty impact wrench to take everything off. So just remember, if you're going to do something like this, be safe, use the proper tools. I got 2 jacks and 2 jack stands, so when I take the axle up, everything will be supported by a jack stands. I will take the tires off. So let's get started. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check the battery, the alternator, and the starter. I have this nifty odometer testing equipment. It's the BVA 200. It's an older unit where these cables are not as easily replaceable, but you know what? It'll work. I mean, look at this massive 6.4 engine. So let's get this thing hooked up. Positive to positive. Negative to negative. So to use one of these, it's pretty easy. Just gonna turn it on. I'm gonna look at the battery, and the battery is 790 cold cranking amps. So we're gonna do yes, we're gonna test. It's just making sure that the battery's halfway decent. It says it's 71% charged. And it's been sitting for a few days. I only pulled it forward. So we'll do the battery test. So we're gonna go up to 800. We're gonna do it. Basically how this works is these 3 coils up here are creating heat. So it says, it's a good battery, it needs a charge. 0.42 is 71%. Remember, a good battery is 12.6 volts. Because it's got 6 cells and each cell is 2.1 volts. So hit enter. So we're going to do a starter test. So it's going to check the battery again. And it says start the engine. So let me do that. Okay. So there's your starter test, and what you're looking for in a starter test is the draw, 220 amps. So I'll have to check that and see if it was good, your beginning voltage and your ending voltage. And then we can go to an alternator test, and it'll stabilize. And you begin it, and it's gonna put a small load on it, again with those heat coils. And it says our output is 99 amps at idle. I don't know the spec of this alternator, so I'm assuming it's between 100 and 130 amp alternator, and that's at speed. So at idle, we're doing pretty good, and the diodes are good. And there's three diodes in your alternator, so If one of them's bad, you'll know, you'll get less charge. So there we go. And then if I wanted to print this out, I could hook it up to a printer. So this part is good. All right, so we got the battery checked out, we got the alternator checked out, the starter checked out. Again, I'll check those specs later. I went ahead and I grabbed my Mako, it's the MD80 scanner. I scanned this truck to the best of my ability. There's no codes, no check engine lights. The only thing that popped up was the rear tires were low in air pressure, and that's just because of the tires that he's running. So let's go ahead and let's get started on the brake job before it gets too hot. Let's get the front jacked up on jack stands, tires off, and let's get going. All right, so here we are. We got everything jacked up, ready to go. And this is why people get mad at dealerships, or they call them stealerships. And if you work at one, I hope this isn't you. So they told this individual that he needed front brakes. He got an oil change 500 to 1,000 miles ago. He doesn't need front brakes. I'm gonna show you why. Approximately 10,000 miles ago, the owner had a oil change. He gets it every 5,000 miles synthetic. So here we go. Got the information covered up. If you look down here, all the brake pads are 9 to 10 millimeters. So there's the mileage, 38,684 miles. Now let's walk over to the truck. Let me just show you. Open up the door. 47,859, so not even 10,000 miles ago. This piece right here, we always call it the squealer. You know, it kind of lets you know. Get a good angle. I'm hoping the camera shows this, but I measured the thickness of the brake pad. It's 7 millimeters. Now, I was always taught you change a brake pad between 3 and 4 millimeters because that squealer is going to be right around 2. So that's the frustrating part when you go to a dealership and they recommend services. Obviously, the front brakes in this are not needed. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the tires back on. I'll probably spray it out with a little bit of brake clean as I've touched the rotors, but that's it. Then we'll check the rear. I've had the same thing happen to me when I had my Duramax. I would go in, I went in for the 30,000 mile oil change, and they told me I needed a plethora of servicings. It wasn't even recommended from GM. It was just something that they recommended at the dealership that was over $1,000. So let's get this put back together. Let's go ahead and check the rear. It's good for the owner to know, but he can at least go another 10,000 miles on these pads. So we get it all put back together, and let's start in the rear. So, well, this is more of a brake inspection than a brake install. So let's go ahead and check these rear axles, both sides, make sure everything is good to go. First thing I'll do, tire off, jacked up, jack stand. All right, so with the rears, we have the same situation as the fronts. I went ahead, I looked at them, and I got ahead, I looked at them. If you can see the squealer there, but you got on these ones between 7 and 8 millimeters. It looks like the inside one, I couldn't get a very good measurement on it with my calipers, but they're about 6 millimeters. So I think what the dealership should have said is, hey, your brake pads are marginal. I would say with the condition of his brake pads and the way they're currently wearing, he's probably got another 10,000 miles out of these brake pads, to be honest. He went through 2 millimeters in the last 10,000 miles. He's got 7 millimeters on the front. This one's got 7 millimeters. On the inside's around 6. So another 10,000 miles will take him down to 4 to 3.5. And then we'd replace them. So I'm gonna get this put back together. I'm gonna check the other side, but that just goes to show you, if a dealership tells you to do something, ask for proof, ask for the measurements. The interesting part is they didn't give them any measurements on the last one, and usually the issue that you're gonna have with the dealership is the new guys that don't know what they're doing. Hopefully the issue that my family member had with this dealership was a fluke, saying that he needed brake pads when he really didn't. I go to the same dealership with the Durango because it's still under warranty, and I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully you don't have any bad experiences with the dealerships, but those people out there will get you. It's not just dealerships. Everyone will get you. Small car places will too. There's one small auto place that I like to use when I can't do something. I don't have air conditioning equipment. I don't have any of that. So I'll go up to a small family-owned place that is super honest, and they cost less. I mean, pay half the service or the labor rate at the place I go to versus the dealership. Now, it may take them a little bit longer because they don't have the parts on the shelf. They have to order them, but who cares? So don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time.